we're going to start with Lopez. What are you drinking?
What's your drink of choice? I'm terrible at accents. I'm drinking. You guys need to watch the Instagram video to know what I'm talking about. A gin martini.
Okay.
I've had a couple sips and already.
Yeah. All right.
I'm feeling good.
I haven't had a drink in quite some time. A little sip would probably have a big effect. All right. So what do you got for us? Okay.
So I think you might have shared this on our Slack channel. It was like an example of, I don't remember what you were saying. It was one of your many lessons.
Must have been really important.
Yeah. He shared the link and he was like, this is an example of something, blah, blah, blah. But all I saw was Selling Sunset. So I clicked, and if you're not familiar with Selling Sunset, it's this like trash TV show on Netflix. It's basically about like these really like gorgeous over the top women who sell real estate in Hollywood. And so they like, the whole show is like you get to sort of see these beautiful mansions, which is mostly why I watched it, because I wanted to see these gorgeous homes. And so they tour, they're like, oh, this is a $5.3 million home, blah, blah, blah. And they walk you through it. But obviously the drama and the chisme is like what draws you in, right? These girls are fighting about being the top real estate agent, and there's like a new girl, and
is it like, do they cut away and like
they cut away to like the interviews.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of cattiness, like the new girl's kind of trying to figure out the dynamics of the Oppenheimer real estate group, and she's asking questions, and then her questions get telephoned to the other person, and she's like, oh, you were talking crap about my friend. And no, I wasn't. And like actually more than half of the show is just these like women fighting about things they said or saying they didn't say.
So like baseball kind of.
No.
That's all baseball's become, is all these like hurt feelings and side comments.
Oh,
Sorry,
sure. Okay. I thought you were talking about, the actual game and stuff.
No, nobody follows the game.
Okay. Yeah. So it's just the drama, and it's really good. It's really terrible. It's like in its 6th season now. So like, I'm not the only one who's, absorbing this, but it's become quite the thing. I think like, on Instagram, people like TikTokers have actually looked into these women and, do they even have a real estate license? Like, are these people real? And they do. And there's a post, actually, I don't remember what website it is, but basically they created a post from a TikTok video of someone looking into like how many of them actually had real estate licenses, how many had them like real listings and MLS. And so there's all these terms, like escrow and, oh, I'm an escrow and all these things. It's just really crazy. But people on social media really are consuming the show and like figuring out how much the girls make, because during the show they'll say like $5 million mansion, blah, blah, blah. And then they explain the commission. And so, these women are making like a lot of money. So anyways, this is like a world that's, I've been consumed by for a little while now.
Okay.
And when you shared that story, it felt like two of my worlds were coming together, like journalism, this really terrible show that I can't stop watching, and just like this overall question of, how expensive it is to live anywhere. And I think it was just a fascinating story. So the story is from the LA Times. And the headline is called "Selling Sunset Star Evicting Rent Control Tenants Whose Landlords Set Fire to Their Homes."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this was Liam Dillon's story this weekend. It was a great story.
Great story.
Yeah.
This is craziness, to be honest.
Crazy.
This is a crazy headline.
There's so much craziness in that headline that you're just like, what? Like I got drawn in by the Selling Sunset, but then
okay. So I'm glad that you did that, because I had no idea about Selling Sunset. So now it adds even more flavor to that story.
But it's not even part of the story.
Right.
Like Heather's one of the characters in Selling Sunset, and you kind of follow her through her love life, because she's like a single gal and whatever, and then she meets Tariq, who is now her husband, and he's the one who really, I think, like, it's his sale or his flip. He has a flip show.
Okay.
Right? Is that what you call them? Like,
yeah.
when you flip homes? See, but he's
exactly
the main character, but like she's not. But they use the Selling Sunset to draw people in, because I would argue she's probably a bigger deal, or that show's a bigger deal than I don't even know the name of his show.
Flip or Flop.
Is it?
Yeah.
Flip or Flop?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay,
Never
so
heard
explain
of
that story now.
The main story.
The LA Times one.
Yeah, the LA Times. So I almost don't want to like deviate from the way that Liam wrote it because it's super interesting. So Tarek, who's Heather's husband, he has this flip show. He's on Instagram, and they're both very big personalities on social media. Like, she got pregnant, she shares all of that. She's like the stepmother to his children. She shares all of that. So you know way too much information about these people.
Or apparently just enough to be totally
to rope you in.
Yeah.
So he goes on Instagram, and he posts a video of himself, and he's talking about big plans he has for this property. He's gonna flip. It's like the greatest flip of his life, and he's so excited. And that's kind of how the story starts. But then it drops when it says, like, the one thing he doesn't explain, and he leaves out of that video, is like how this slot was even available. So it's kind of an ongoing message in Selling Sunset, and I think a lot of these shows that focus on like Hollywood real estate, how inaccessible it is, or how lucky you are if you find a piece of real estate that you can build on or flip, obviously. So that was his point, and basically this property is available because the current property owner tried to set the building on fire trying to kick out the tenants that lived there, and a lot of them did leave, but I think some of them stayed. There's like 4 or 5 of them that stayed, 5 tenants that stayed, and so now they're being evicted. And it's like a collision of worlds, right? So the tenants by law are supposed to get money to move out of this place. But they think like they should get more money because of how much money the flip is going to make the property worth.
Also because the guy tried to burn them down.
Yeah, this guy trying to like burn them out.
Arson coming. What's the arson?
And they're living there.
It's got to be worth something.
They're living there. Like, there's 5 tenants, and the
place has been burned.
Place has been burned.
5 tenants there.
Terrible conditions.
And this guy's like, hey, I got this great flip.
And it's going to be on TV? Like, pay us out. Pay us all out.
And you're going to watch the
flip.
And he has this YouTube video where he's like, I'll get you the clip maybe for later, Nate. But he has this YouTube video where he's like, this is the greatest flip of my life. And look at this property. And we just bought it. And it's like this terrible looking place.
Where is it again?
In North Hollywood.
Okay, yeah.
And he's like, look, like, there's nowhere else you can develop. And yeah, around him, there's like newer apartment buildings. And he's like, if you're an investor, like, this is your chance to really get something started. And it's just insane. But I think it speaks to, the cost of living. Like, these 5 individuals who are staying there, I think one of them is 77, and she pays $824 a month to live there in this like building that's like half, burned.
Mm-hmm. And it's rent controlled, right?
Yeah, it's rent controlled. And so, a lot of the tenants are kind of like, where are we going to go from here? And it's a really dark story. I think it's a really sad story.
And then after the story came out, like, Liam was tweeting about how this guy was like kind of tweeting through it, right? Like, he was trying to like handle everybody's concerns, like, well, I'm going to build a lot of places here. It's going to help the housing affordability or something, right? Like,
yeah. But then he gets into his story, like, even throughout all of this. So there's an Instagram post, and I honestly didn't go back to find it. I'm sure it's been deleted already. But so Tarek posted about it, and he was posting about this development, and he put a fire emoji. A fire emoji.
I'm sorry to laugh. That.
Yeah, I kind of saw some of that post game, and in addition to trying to tweet through it, he was just completely. People were then coming after him and saying, "What are you doing?" And he was completely oblivious to their concerns, saying like, "Well, what time do you get up in the morning? How frequently do you work out?
And
what's your diet?"
Yeah,
and it's like, dude,
what?
No, yeah, he was trying to say like you can make it in this country.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad for those people. They basically have made their choice to be that way. You can choose, like I chose to be rich instead.
And you chose to have an
You should
apartment
go for that
by the
option.
landlord.
I started with 0.
Yeah.
I agree. It was kind of like one of these huge. You just see the gap, not just between owners and renters, and TV stars and civilians, but just the 2 different worlds of the inequality in America. I mean, if you have money, if you don't have money, and the disturbing thing is, just how tone deaf he was to the concerns of these people. I mean, it's one thing to have a lot of money and things like that, but Warren Buffett's got a lot of money, and he still seems to kind of understand that not everybody does.
Yeah.
The sort of new breed of people are like, what's your problem?
But this is the weird intersection. First of all, I got to make an aside. Like, we got to pay these actors and script writers to just, like, for real. Like, we can't, like, you see what reality TV is doing out here. They're like, we can't write it. We'll just do it. Like, no, stop. Like, just go back to. But, like, no, it's this weird thing because, you know, we as journalists, right, like in a way, we're almost competing with them because people look at this as this reality TV to them is a documentation of the world. Totally. Right. And so it's setting up these like really false expectations. I mean, I know tons of people that are like, I can do this. They make it look so easy. Go out here and just grab and hustle and stuff like that. And
it's like a prosperity gospel.
It's like a prosperity gospel. Right. And so that's why you see that kind of mentality in Twitter and that like celebrity that comes out in social media because they have to keep that act up because they're selling the reality part of the TV. And like, of course, like we see the behind the scenes and like, all this is shiesty. It's all dirty. And it always has been, right? I think we like known that. But yeah, it's that prosperity gospel, right? Like, I think that's the scariest part.
Those expectations, like my kids watch those shows and they think, oh, look, you just like his Flip or Flop show. Yeah. You know, in 22 minutes, he takes a dump and then he sells it for like, you know, more than he.
You just stumbled upon this property. Your wife is fine. Your life is tight. I'm making all this money and I'm on TV. What are you doing?
And they do all these things. They go in there, oh, we'll just take down this wall and we'll run a thing. You know, and it's like, you have any idea how complicated this is? You know, and I would tell my kids, you know, you've seen me try to change a light bulb. You know, I mean, imagine moving walls. This is not something you do in 22 minutes. You know.
And to your point though, like I've been describing this a lot. Like I think our attention spans are like a balloon. Like they will, like some gas will fill them up. And it's like we have as local news journalists or as journalists, we have earned a little bit of that space. But the moment you disappear, even if you don't publish for a while, like you said, like stay in the game, even if you're gone for a little bit, that gas will fill up with something else quick. And they won't even know they're missing anything. So like we worry about these newspapers, about all kinds of journalism jobs and stuff like that. Like that, there is so much willing to fill people's balloons and they won't have an idea that they're not getting the best possible version of reality they can. Right. And they love that version, that there is a chance to get your foot into an investment also, let's point this out, like the journalist, Liam, what a great idea. I don't know if he got a tip or, you know, how he got that, but like he saw it was worth digging into.
Yeah. I mean, this quote is really, I think it like speaks to what we were talking about, but this is from one of the tenants. And so, like I said, they're very public people, like they're everywhere. There's this trend actually that I've kind of thought about doing for us in our TikToks, but it's like a trend. So all the real estate agents dress like incredibly crazy and they're going to show like they look like they're going to some opening of, I don't know, like the red carpet, right? Yeah. But they're just going to show this client a house. Yeah. Or they're doing the staging for the house, but they're like in like 6-inch heels, makeup and hair. So people have done this thing like showing up to your office as like selling Sunset. And so people are just like super over the top for like a staff meeting, you know? But like that like luxury life, I think. And so this quote is from one of the tenants. And she said, "It's an insult when I know he's spending his summer in the Hamptons and in Cabo. And he can't make the time for tenants whose displacement is enabling the biggest flip of his life."
Yeah. Well, that was a great start to the happy hour story time. I think I didn't know quite how you were going to connect it like as well as you did, but that was great.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm talented.
Yes.